Hey guys, we are back with some more Salt Lake City Lakers franchise mode, and I'm actually recording this before uploading the previous episode because I made my mind up pretty quickly regarding the status of Rohan Bowman. It's just not worth it. It's really not worth it. And we know with how goaltending is in this game, that 931 that he had last year could very easily be turn into a 905 or possibly even less next season, right? You just never know, unfortunately, with goaltending in this game. So it's not even, it's not even like we have an extensive history to go off of with him. He's only had 1 year in the NHL and his 32 games. So there's no telling what that save percentage will be over, let's say, a 60 game season instead of 32 games, right? So, and he's just asking for way too much. 11 million. I can think of a couple of other good pieces that we can get that would be money better spent, I feel, than spending $11 million on a goaltender. So I think we should just honestly take the compensation for Rohan Bowman, because whatever team signs him, I can guarantee you we are going to be getting more back for him than if we were to, say, trade his rights. Because honestly, I don't think his value is all that high, given that he's only an 83 overall. I mean, he does have that medium elite potential, but I don't think it's going to be more than half, let's say. It's not that high. I think we could get more back for compensation for Rohan Bowman than if we were to trade him. It's just not happening. 11 million is just not happening. And it's going to have to be more, right? Since he's in free agency, it's definitely going to have to be more. And then if a team offers him, I don't want to have to match that offer, and it's potentially more than 11 mil, it's just not worth it. So we should take the compensation for Rohan Bowman. And in the chaos that was last episode, because of, the Rohan Bowman situation, we never actually even addressed the coaching staff situation. So I have actually already gone out and approached a couple of assistant coaches. But the main concern, I think, in the last one was regarding our head coach, Dredger, who, I mean, he's not bad. 201 wins, 162 losses, and 47 OT losses. However, we haven't really had much success as a team with him on board. And the most notable, I guess, weakness of Dredger's is his special teams strategies. They don't seem to fit our roster makeup because we can't seem to find any kind of chemistry on the power play or the penalty kill, and our power play has been absolutely dreadful for the past couple of years, really. And the penalty kill, we can't seem to find any kind of chemistry whatsoever on. So I mentioned in the last one that I'm not going to force a new head coach hiring, but if there was one that was out there that impressed me, then I would definitely approach them, and that is the case here. So we're going to take a look at the available head coaches, and the one who caught my eye is Mario Carl. He's a generalist, so he's not, I don't believe he has the same coaching style as our current head coach. He's won one Stanley Cup. He's won 2 President's Trophies. He has a coaching record of 143, 77, and 26, points percentage of 63.4. Now, he's got a team fit of 59%. It's not great, but the important part for me is that, number one, he has different strategies for the special teams, so I'm hoping that the power play and the penalty kill will finally be able to have some chemistry with this guy on board. He hasn't coached in a while. I mean, he's a great coach, but he's, for whatever reason, Montreal let him go, and he hasn't coached anywhere since. So, you know what? Give this guy a chance. I think he could shine. I really do. So, we will be signing Mario Carl. Now, he does want a large sum of money. We're going to, let's say, take him up to, I would say, 5.9 just to be sure, and 5 years as our NHL head coach. We'll offer him that contract. Obviously, since we offered a new head coach, we're going to have to fire Donovan Dredger here. So as you take a look at our roster, our best goaltender currently is Ilya Kistov, 80 overall. We obviously have some holes to fill, especially with the soon-to-be departure of Rohan Bowman. Now, that being said, I would like to give Kistov the opportunity to be our starter. However, I don't feel comfortable with just Kistov because our next best goaltender after him is Strachan, who's at a 68 overall. So I figured it'd be good to get a nice veteran goaltender in there to help him out. So that's what we're going to be targeting in free agency, as well as a right-handed, offensively minded defenseman, because with Dumba and Dundas, I mean, they're good. And Fleury, he wasn't, I mean, we know he has offensive upside, but he did have a bit of a down season this year with only 22 points. So I want to get an offensively minded right-handed defenseman to hopefully play alongside of Hayden Fleury, or maybe even on the third defensive pair, because Brandon Montour was obviously not very good this past season, and we traded him away at the draft. So that is what I would like to target as well in free agency. And then one other thing that I mentioned in the last one was a veteran center for the bottom six. So I'm thinking more along the lines of like a top 9 center, one for the third line. And I think as well, I want to give Burakovsky one more chance, especially under this new head coach that we're supposedly getting. So, I feel like he could have a bounce-back season under this new coach. We'll see what happens. Marner, Wright, and Plekanec, definitely our first line. Waugh will be on the second line with Burakovsky. LaRose probably on the second line as well. But we do definitely need that veteran center, I would say, to be between Messier and Nieuwendyk. One who could really help them out. So for goaltenders, what we're going to do, we're going to sign Braden Holtby, as he only wants 1 year. He's 36 years of age, and he only wants $6.5 million. So I think he's the perfect veteran goaltender to get in there and help out Ilya Kistov as he adjusts to becoming a starter. Because Holtby is clearly capable of being a starter himself. It also gives the chance to Ilya Kistov to become our official starter, and Holtby can take a back seat towards the end of the season if he has to. So I think it's a perfect situation here for Holtby. We'll give him $6.75 for 1 year. And the next guy who we're going to be going after, none other than Sidney Crosby. 84 overall, currently at 38 years of age. I mean, he can still get it done. He can still definitely get it done. He had 83 points last season with Pittsburgh, 37 goals, 46 assists. Can you imagine this guy centering a third line with Nieuwendyk and Messier? He's great at faceoffs as well, great defensively still, and he's obviously very good offensively still as well. Now, he does have that bottom 6 potential, so that's why we're going to be having him on the third line. We're also only going to give him 1 year, and we'll give him $8.7 million. I would imagine he'll be able to be on our power play as well. Just because his overall is down doesn't mean that he can't still get it done. So offer contract to him. And what we're going to do for the defenseman, there's no defenseman that really catch my eye here. I mean, obviously Heiskanen, but he's asking for a little too much, and he would have to go on our top 2 for sure. And I believe at the moment that our top 2 is set with Dundas and Dumba. So, and then after Heiskanen, there's really not much. There's Miller, there's Gustafsson, there is Fox, but I'm not really liking the look of any of those guys, especially offensively. And Fox isn't really a great simulator offensively in this simulation either. I think his career high is like 25 points. So what we're going to do instead for the right-handed defenseman is we are going to be making a trade. And that trade will be with the LA Kings. They're currently in rebuilding mode, so I believe this trade makes sense for them. And as for what the trade is, we are going to be trading for Drew Doughty. That's right, we're getting all the oldies here. He's currently 85 overall, 36 years of age, but just because he is old doesn't mean he can't still put up the points. He had 50 points last year with the LA Kings, who were not great. So I think this would be as obviously he's got a hefty salary, but what we're going to do here, we're going to do the good old-fashioned retain 50% of his salary, and we are going to have to obviously send quite a bit back in return to get them to retain that salary, but I believe it will be worth it, as we're trying to go for the Stanley Cup, aren't we? So we may as well take a couple of risks here. Now, the players that we're going to be sending back the other way will include Gunther. He didn't really get the chance to play last year, and I don't really see him getting the chance to play this year either, to be honest. He didn't impress me too much. He had a couple of goals, and he had an assist in 11 games. But he's already 23, and he's only played 11 games in the NHL for us, and I don't see myself using him in the fourth line, so we're going to be sending him the other way in this deal. Also going the other way in this deal will be Cedric Hall and Owen Jacobs, I believe his first name is. Yeah, Owen Jacobs and Cedric Hall. Now, I don't see them having a future on this team just because of the amount of defensive prospects we have. And, I mean, Ronald Sterling is going to have a hard time cracking this lineup with the way he is as a defensive defenseman. I really want to use him at some point, but for right now, he's going to have to be a 7th defenseman on our team. So this does look like it should go through, but it will not, as a matter of fact. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to add a first-round pick from Edmonton. LA is a rebuilder. We're not. It makes sense to send them a first-round pick, especially if it's not our own. And it's this deal, I think it makes sense. They're getting everything they want out of this. They're getting 3 young players plus a pick, and they're unloading, well, not all the contract, but they are unloading quite a hefty contract of Drew Doughty, who is quickly getting up there in age. He's 36 years of age. He's not going to last much longer in the NHL, but he is definitely a piece that we need, I would say, to compete for the Stanley Cup this year, because when you take a look at our defensive core, I would say he would fit either on the 2nd or 3rd pair. And honestly, if you could put, let's say, Lambos with Doughty on the 3rd pair, that's a real deep defensive core. That's probably going to be one of the best defensive cores in the game, honestly. So proposed trade, there you go, it'll go through. And let's just make sure that everything is set. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is seeing if Holtby and Crosby sign. So we will advance 1 week. There's Christoph Schmidt. He is going to be our NHL assistant coach. There's Marcel St. Pierre. He is going to be our NHL associate coach. And there is Mario Carl, our new head coach. Let's hope he works out. Yeah, yep, there you go. Sidney Crosby is now on board with your Salt Lake City Lakers and Braden Holtby as well. So everybody's on board. I do have to go and get an AHL goaltender coach, but that shouldn't be too big of a deal. Trade alert to Anaheim, Sundqvist, and to New Jersey, a 2nd and a 5th. So now let's take a look at our roster going in to year number 8. We have Holtby and Kistov in net, and on defense, you have Dumba, Dundas, Goddard, Doughty, Fleury, and Lambos, and then Sterling as the 7th defenseman. That is filthy. And as we go into the forward court, you have Marner, Plekanec, Wright, Burakovsky, Crosby, and Waugh, LaRose, Messier, and Naslund, Neuendijk, Gunler, Eakin, and then you have Zarnik as a backup. So it's been a couple of weeks here, and I don't think Bowman has gotten any offers so far. That I think the one team interested would be us, since we gave him the qualifying offer. To be honest, I hope he gets an offer so that we could just get that compensation and be done with this whole situation, but looks like we're going to be waiting a little bit to see what happens. So I guess we'll go to the end of July. So to LA, you have Waugh and Cuckoo. And to Vegas, 2 second-round picks. Another trade to Carolina, Cholowski, Nikushkin, and a 3rd. And to Detroit, a 2nd and Bork. So we're at the end of July, and still no offers for Mr. Rohan Bowman. I mean, it's understandable, right? He's only an 83 overall. And maybe some of the other GMs in the league are looking at that and saying, basically saying the same thing I did. So he's an 85 overall now, so he's gone up in overall for whatever reason. Still, I don't know if that justifies his asking price. So I think we'll hold out a little bit longer. We'll see what happens going into preseason. And if he's still a free agent by then I don't really know what to say. So to Chicago, you have Coughlin and a 4th, and to Vegas, 2 second-round picks. So we're in a very interesting situation here with Rohan Bowman. He's not getting any offers, and again, it's understandable. But, okay. So now he actually wants something reasonable. 1 year, 4.8. Now, we don't have the salary cap for that. He's now an 87 overall instead of an 83, which you could have kind of predicted the growth that he was going to see, but still, it's for a goaltender with only 32 games of NHL experience, you can understand why you would hesitate to give him the kind of money that he was asking for. But now he's only asking for like $4 million or $5 million. I would say he'd be worth taking a gamble on, but only if we could, find the cap to clear up. I wish I had known that he was going to drop his price sooner so that I wouldn't have to give Holtby that contract. Okay, so here's another interesting thing. Kistov is up to an 85 overall. He went from 80 to 85 over the offseason. So no matter what happens here, we're in a very, again, interesting situation as far as goaltending goes, because you have Holtby, who we just signed because we didn't think we were going to sign Bowman. But now that Bowman wants less than $5 million for 1 year, he's certainly an option to sign. And then Kistov, who jumped from an 80 to an 85 in one season, he's looking to compete for a starting job. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Okay, so you know what I just thought of? Let's see what Bowman wants long term. If we were to give him, let's say, 6 years. Okay, you know what? That's not bad. That's not bad at all. See, that's reasonable. That's reasonable for Bowman. I just didn't want to pay him that $11 million. That was ridiculous. So, yeah, I'm glad we didn't give him that $11 million. Now, the issue comes with Braden Holtby. So what do we do about Holtby here? Because if we trade Holtby, then we can almost certainly sign Mr. Rohan Bowman, and long term as well. But what to do? Okay, I think what we'll have to do is go up to the end of November with Holtby and then trade him then. You know, that's the only thing I could really think of that we would be able to sign Bowman and then play Bowman as well this season, while at the same time not trading Holtby right away. So here are our lines going into year number 8. You have Plekanec, Wright, and Marner on the first line, and then you have Waugh, LaRose, and Burakovsky, Messier, Crosby, and Nieuwendyk, and then on the fourth line, Naslund, Eakin, and Gunler. Defensively, you have Dundas and Dumba, Fleury and Goddard, and then Lambos and Doughty. Power play, you have LaRose, Wright, Marner, Waugh, and Dundas, and then Plekanec, Crosby, Burakovsky, Dumba, and Doughty. Penalty kill, you have Eakin, LaRose, Goddard, and Fleury, and then Naslund, Gunler, Lambos, and Dumba. 4-on-4, you have Wright, Marner, Dundas, and Dumba, Plekanec, Burakovsky, Fleury, and Goddard, and then Waugh, LaRose, Lambos, and Doughty. 3-on-3, Wright, Marner, Dundas, Plekanec, Burakovsky, Dumba, and Waugh, LaRose, and Doughty. Extra attackers are Wright and Crosby. Shootout is Waugh, Wright, Marner, Crosby, and Plekanec. In goal for right now, at least, is Kistov and Holtby, and scratched are Sterling and Zarnik, and we all know the situation with Rohan Bowman. So, new numbers. You have Messier, number 39. You have... Who else do you have? You have Nieuwendyk, number 9. You have Sterling, 54. You have Doughty, number 10. Actually, you know what? Let's switch Doughty to 8. We'll switch him with Gunler, and Gunler can be number 10 instead. And as you may notice, we have 2 new alternate captains. Radek Plekanec is one of them, and the other being Peyton Dundas. He deserves it. He has been an absolute madman for us ever since joining the NHL, but he has gotten better and better every year. Last year was a bit of a down year, of course, but last year was a bit of a down year for everybody. And Hayden Fleury is still our captain. Oh, and Crosby, of course, is number 87. Don't believe I mentioned that at first. We have a trade to Anaheim, a second and Ovechkin, our Ovechkin, not Alex Ovechkin. And to Toronto, Sundqvist, wasn't he traded earlier this summer? I think he was. And a 6th. So what we're going to do now, I know you guys want to see some progress. I do too. Been way too long, so now what we're going to do, we're going to go through the entire month of October, and we'll see where that takes us, and hopefully we'll get to a point in this video where we'll be able to get up to the end of November, and we're going to stop it there, because that is when I want to see if we can offer Mr. Rohan Bowman, because that's obviously the deadline to sign him, so hopefully we could get that all done and out of the way, so we don't have to worry about Bowman in the future. And obviously that would involve trading Braden Holtby. But still, this is just so we can say we've at least used him for a little while, you know? Ooh, all right, here we go. Rohan Bowman has been tendered a qualifying offer by the Montreal Canadiens for $12.545 over 4 years. And because of the significant salary being offered, you'll receive 4 draft picks as compensation. 2 firsts, a second, and a third. All right, that's what I was hoping that wouldn't happen. All right. Well, remind me in 6 days, and we'll stop the simulation right there. Cody Eakin injured with the sore hip, just replaced player. So we have a huge decision to make. Well, we're 1-4-1, first of all, to start the season, so that's not good. But I guess we waited a little too long on signing Rohan Bowman. If we were going to sign him, I guess preseason would have been the time. But now, nonetheless, we have a qualifying offer to deal with. So we're going to have to either match that offer or take the compensation. If we were to match that offer, we would likely have to trade, I would say, Fleury and probably Burakovsky as well, and then maybe Crosby, just to get under the cap, you know? Yeah, well, I wasn't expecting that, so, I mean, I guess I should have, but still, you have to think if a team was going to offer sheet him, it should have been, you know, in the offseason, not when the season starts. So that was a bit surprising. But we now have a huge decision to make. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to check on how Mr. Keystov is doing to start out the season. 9-17 in 3 games. Okay, not bad. Not bad at all. Hopefully he can stay consistent with that. But I'm hopeful so far. How's Holtby doing? Ugh. I mean, that's reason enough to trade him right now. An 820 save percentage. That's brutal over 3 games. I mean, I know it's only 3 games, but that's oof. That's probably the reason for our horrible start so far. You gotta think that's 3 losses right there. And if we get those 3 additional wins, then we're 4-1-1, you know? So maybe we do, well, here's the thing. We would have had to trade Holtby before the qualifying offer, because now we're gonna have to either match Montreal or just take the compensation. What we could do, we could always just trade Crosby and Holtby. I mean, I know it feels a little, since we just signed both of them. But Crosby isn't having the greatest start to the season either. Only 2 goals on the third line. And he is getting power play time, I think. No power play points. So it wouldn't be, I guess it wouldn't be unheard of to trade him right away. I obviously wouldn't mind trading Holtby at this point, because he's done absolutely nothing for us so far. Even though we're only a little bit of ways into the season, he really has not lived up to expectations. And as for Crosby, I mean, neither is he, to be honest. I was expecting another, you know, I mean, he could still turn it around. He could still certainly turn it around, save for Braden Holtby, but you kind of expect that leadership right off the bat, you know, to start the season, to help guys like Messier and Nieuwendyk get going early on in their careers. And so far, Nieuwendyk only has 1 assist. Messier only has 2. All right, so a big decision here. I'm going to end it off here. Let me know what you guys think of this whole situation. It's been a whirlwind. All right, you know what? Let's check out Montreal's roster. Let's see what they're like, and check how much Rohan Bowman would actually affect their chances at a playoff run. So they don't have any goaltender, so it makes sense why they're offering Bowman. Now, defensively, they have Perrant, right, that franchise defenseman who went in the draft in 2024. He doesn't have much help back here. It doesn't look like Lindgren, Toivonen, Mate, Borgman, and Wallinen are his defensive partners there. And then forward-wise, you have Kakaniemi, Drouin, Hedel, Domi, Suzuki, Ronning, Ikonen, Quenneville, Zaka, Paling, and Smith. The odd thing is they don't have a whole lot of cap space, especially not the cap space to be signing Mr. Bowman. So I'm not sure how they'd be able to afford him in the first place, unless they traded somebody else, like Suzuki, for example. This is just a strange situation all around. So I think we're going to end it here. Once again, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one when we are going to have to come to a decision on Rohan Bowman. See you guys then.